Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We're going to start off this night by the Pledge of Allegiance and the singing of the American United States National Anthem. Would everybody please rise?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Oh yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it. America's finest right there.
America's finest, ladies and gentlemen, the United States Army Barbershop Quartet, coming to us from the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. The Army sent us this Barbershop Quartet, giving us the national anthem. We appreciate that. The host of the Barbershop Quartet Convention gave us the Pledge of Allegiance, and we really, really appreciate it. We really do. Folks, these are America's finest, the United States military. And I don't really care whether it's the Army, the Marine Corps, the Navy, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, or Space Force. They all are America's military, America's finest. I also want to thank them for their service. I also want to thank our allied men and women, wherever they might be in this world, in their countries or out in the world, helping to protect freedom and liberty wherever they serve. We want to thank them for their service, and we wish and hope that God will bless them and return them to their homes after their tours of duty end. God bless you all, and thank you for your service. Folks, we have a lot to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about, there's a couple things that are very important, and we'll talk about those. The first thing I want to talk about is Title 42, the border situation in the United States at the southern border. I took this clip from NBC News today. I hope we can listen to this and get something from it. This is very, very important what has happened early this morning. Let's join NBC News.
Part of President Biden's plan to deal with it now on hold. Overnight, a federal judge in Florida temporarily blocking a Biden administration policy aiming to speed up processing that would allow migrants into the country without court dates and with no way to track them. The record number of illegal crossings already taxing cities big and small.
There's 3,500 people sitting along that Tijuana border. Normally, a normal day is about 200 people.
The surge everyone has been expecting is here. DHS officials say more than 11,000 migrants were apprehended Wednesday trying to enter the country illegally, the highest level ever. In El Paso, many residents are fed up, saying their city has been taken over.
I understand that everybody wants a better future, but they're taking our taxes, they're taking everything from us.
And the issue is not just impacting the border. In Chicago, immigrants are sleeping in a police station. In Denver, it's a parking garage overwhelming this intake center.
There's nowhere else for these refugees to go.
In New York City, Mayor Eric Adams, a Democrat, now at war with the suburbs where he's shipping migrants to hotels, blaming the Biden administration for the city running out of shelter space.
The national government has turned its back on New York City.
Parts of the border seen increased enforcement with more fencing and armed troops, all in an effort to slow the influx. But tens of thousands still making the dangerous journey to the U.S. The desperation clear. One group crossing the Rio Grande this week, bringing a baby held in a suitcase. Under new rules from the Biden administration, immigrants seeking asylum need to do it first in another country, then schedule an appointment on the new app, CBP One, that some call confusing. If they cross illegally, they could be barred from the U.S. for at least 5 years. Those new rules are set to begin today as the flow of migrants shows no signs of slowing down.
We must seal and secure our border, put back in policies that just make sense and that keep Americans safe.
Now, the DHS told me just yesterday they hope this spike will level out, but it's unclear how, because it takes months for these migrants to reach the U.S. In many cases, they are walking. And they're also up against something else, the Biden administration is, the misinformation. There are social media posts in Spanish that have been seen millions of times that falsely claim the border is open. There is a lot the administration is up against right now. And Savannah, when you see that child in that suitcase being carried across a river, you see the lengths these migrants are going to. Savannah?
All right, Tom Yamas, thank you, along the southern border. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys, that's the latest. The federal judge stopped.
With Dexcom G7, you can achieve diabetes results without finger sticks. See how...
I'm sorry, guys. There we go. I finally turned it off. I don't know how that got going, but it did. But what we're talking about, guys, is the federal government took almost no action to stop the unlawful crossing of people into the United States. Didn't stop it. It took a federal court judge to stop it this morning. Now, under the new rules, migrants cannot come into the United States at our border. They must first start in their own countries and apply for asylum in their own countries. That is the start of it. Like they said, 11,000 people showed up on Wednesday and got arrested. They have been returned back to their countries. They were arrested and returned back to their countries, put on planes and sent back to wherever they came from. Now, some of them may say, oh, we came from Venezuela or we came from El Salvador. Guess what? They cannot even speak Spanish because they came from the Middle East. Okay? That's the truth. Or from Russia or China. And these border agents are not stupid. They can understand when they're talking to somebody from Mexico or Central America or South America. When they see these Chinese show up at our southern border, they know full well that these people come from other countries. And they have sent back 11,000 people on Wednesday this week. We were told that there would be 750 people, or excuse me, not 750 people, 750,000 people that had trekked across Mexico to show up at the border. And there's still an influx coming in now as I speak. At some point it's got to stop. The border communities have had it. El Paso was overrun. Their holding centers have more than enough people that they can't handle them anymore. And these immigrants thought, oh well, the United States border's open, they'll take us. Okay? They can't. El Paso has started putting people on planes to other places. After the Border Patrol releases them, they're put on planes to Chicago or Denver or Idaho or wherever, New York, California. California's been overrun already. California and New York are sanctuary states. And you heard Mayor Adams in New York says they cannot handle them any longer. There's no place for the new people coming in. It's got to stop. We've also had people committing crimes. A lot of people coming across, I can't say everyone, but a lot of people coming across are people that were in prisons, in jail, coming across, throwing their ID in the sand in Mexico, and coming across telling the border agents who they are, and then we have to figure out who they really are with fingerprints through the NCIC, okay, the National Crime Information Center. And it's not just here in the United States. The NCIC, and I have had access to it before. If we get fingerprints or anything else that even suggests that this person did not come from where they said, they are held there. They are not allowed to go any further. Because if they find out that the person is someone other than what they're saying they are, they're held there and sent back. They're not allowed to continue. However, for every person that's detained and processed, there's an equal number that are getting away. They're called getaways or gotaways. So if we process 20,000 people, for example, there's 20,000 other people that got through the border. And now I show you what we are doing on the areas where the Border Patrol fence is not. We've had our National Guard troops putting up razor wire. And you saw in that short video where residents, or not residents, but migrants were trying to come in and cut through the border wire, moving the border wire so they can come in. What they're going to face is United States National Guard troops fully armed, and they're not going to go anywhere because the National Guard troops are going to detain them for Customs Border Protection to come pick them up and either process them or send them on their way. The present policy is for CBP to send them back. If they did not come through the ways that the Biden administration, the federal government said they could, then they will be sent back to their homes, sent back to where they came from. So I hope that that is exactly what is going on. Okay? You saw a clip of the detention facility in Denver. That detention facility is just north and east of Denver. I have been there. I have been there when CBP had some rowdies that they could not contend with at the detention facility, and I showed up with my people that worked with me, and we went over to back up Customs Border Protection at the detention facility in Denver. There are 3 of them. Okay? I've been there. It's unreal. They have their own police officer guards that are there to try to keep the peace. But people get rowdy. Sometimes it takes a show of force to take those people into custody and get them out of there. And they are not processed any further, and they're sent back to where they came from. So that's what's going on at the border. Now, the next thing I want to talk about. We had a swarm of quakes today. That swarm of quakes happened at Lake Amador in California, Northern California. This picture that I'm showing you, I picked up just after 5 p.m. Eastern Time. At 5 p.m. Eastern Time, I counted 54 earthquakes. 54 earthquakes. Now, what I'm going to tell you guys is USGS had this as a 5.5 magnitude earthquake yesterday evening while we were on the air. And I showed it to you. Anybody that was with us last night, I showed you this earthquake. USGS had it as a 5.5, but I'm going to tell you, it actually came out as a 6.0. It came out as a 6.0 magnitude earthquake, and we believe that it's possibly even higher than that. And I'll tell you why. Because over in Nevada, folks, people felt that earthquake. And in Nevada, it came and registered as a 5.0. Hundreds of miles away from this earthquake, it registered as a 5.0. So that tells us that it took time for that seismic signal to travel to Nevada. And in that time, that seismic signal reduced itself over a period of time and over a period of miles. Okay? That seismic signal traveled through all kinds of strata, all kinds of dirt, rock, and other things in the surface of the earth, in the crust. That signal went all the way through all that strata, and it reduced itself to 5.0 over in Nevada. Folks, this was a much larger earthquake than what they're telling us. USGS is lying again. We have the evidence. This earthquake was at least a 6.0, if not stronger than that. For that signal to have dissipated over to Nevada as a 5.0, again, that's impossible for this to be a 5.5. No way in heck. Now, the last time we had problems here, and I'm talking in the way of earthquakes, has been a while now. It's been a while. Now, what I'm going to show you is that this earthquake happened here, okay? And since then, see that larger circle to the south here? That larger orange circle to the south? That was a 5.1 tremor, aftershock. A 5.1 large earthquake. Okay? This initially came in as a very strong 6.0 and immediately was downgraded to 5.5 and then downgraded again to 5.4 and then upgraded again to 5.5. That's insanity. This was a much larger earthquake. And you can see the aftershocks all around to the north and all around the epicenter from this quake. This is huge. I'm telling you, it is huge. Now I'm going to show you a series of slides to back up what I'm saying. Okay? This is a big deal. Okay? First off, I want to show you this earthquake from back in 2013. I'm sorry, 2015. Okay? 8 years later, we have another one similar. This earthquake was a 5.7. May 23rd, 2013, a 5.7. Just prior to that, in March, on March 17th, 2015, I'm sorry, that's afterwards. In March 2015, we had a 3.8. 3 years after the 5.7. Now what's interesting about this, okay? Look at those earthquake faults. The earthquake faults just south of this earthquake today. First, we have the Indian Valley Fault. You see there in orange. That's the Indian Valley Fault. The one in the blue to the left-hand side over there, that is the Mohawk Valley Fault. The Mohawk Valley Fault System. Okay? This is a big deal. 2013, we had a 5.7. 2015, we had a 3.8. Look at the moment tensor ball on the 5.7 in 2013. Okay? The moment tensor ball points in a northwesterly direction, doesn't it? That is the same direction where we have the earthquake from last night, in a northwesterly direction. The 2015 earthquake, that pointed in more a northerly direction. Last night's earthquake was in a northwesterly direction. Okay? The 2013 quake was in a northwesterly direction. Yesterday's quake, the same way. Okay? Yesterday's, they said, was a 5.5. It came out as a 6.0 and downgraded. Folks, this is a lot stronger earthquake than what they're talking about. Okay? It's a big deal. It's huge. Now, with that magnitude 5.7 in 2013, you see the Indian Valley Fault and the Mohawk Valley Fault System. And taking a look at this, we have to conclude what is actually, we have to find out what kind of surface do we have there. Okay? What kind of rock strata do we have? Number one, there's sedimentary rock. What is sedimentary rock? That sedimentary rock is dirt and gravel that was pressed together by force over a long period of time. If you remember back in high school and possibly even elementary school, long time ago, that area had ocean water covering it. Probably 90% of the earth was covered by water until the water started evaporating. And then we saw hills and valleys. We saw the earth's surface finally come out of the water, as we've seen today with our present day continents. Okay? All that sediment that we had there for tons of years settled. And it settled because it was pressed together into a rock strata. Okay? Sedimentary rock. And below that, there was other rocks such as granite and lava. Okay? We go even back to the Pleistocene time period. Okay? Now, that Mohawk Valley Fault that I'm talking about, that is probably the extension of the Walker Lane Fault. The Walker Lane Fault is the northernmost extension of the east of the Sierra Mountains area. The Sierra Nevada Mountains. It's the northernmost extension of the east of the Sierra Nevada Mountains, part of the plate boundary between the North American and the Pacific plates. The most well-known part of this plate boundary is the San Andreas Fault. We have looked at the Walker Lane Fault before. Just about a year ago, we had a 6.5 earthquake over in the Antelope Valley, right on top of the Walker Lane Fault. And we saw the main thrust of the earthquake. We saw aftershocks after that quake. And they're still getting aftershocks to this day. And it appears that the seismic energy that we're seeing all up and down the Walker Lane Fault to be increasing. Okay? As we have looked at the faulting in the Lake Tahoe region, the maps show swarms of earthquakes from 2013 on up to today. We've seen it. Now, all the orange dots here on this particular map, all the orange dots represent earthquake epicenters. Earthquake epicenters from the year 2013. So you can see on this map, it slightly resembles the map from today. Okay? Now on this map, we've placed the moment tensors for the 5.7 and the 3.8. So you can see what's going on. The Indian Valley Fault is shown in orange there, to where it may exist, based on recent seismicity. All the other lines are from the USGS fault and full database. Now, with that said, this fault system is what hit with this earthquake last night. Like I said, it appears to be a lot stronger than what they're giving us. We've seen that happen before, and it's going to happen again and again and again until all of us together, and I'm talking thousands and thousands of people, get together and tell the USGS where to get off. I don't like talking like that, but that's what it's going to take. These people have no clue what they're actually doing. They don't have a clue. Yes, they're being told by the politicians to do this, to downgrade the Quakes, to make the people in the area feel more comfortable. What's going to happen when it's an 8.0 earthquake, a major 8.0 earthquake, and they downgrade it as they did over in Turkey? What's going to happen? People are going to get killed in large numbers. There are a lot of people living and working around the Lake Amador area. A ton. I've seen the maps. Do we want to see an 8.0 hit this area? It's possible. It's probable. And in that case, a ton of people are going to get killed. Okay? Kimberly Hopkins in the chat says, I don't consider Lake Amador small at all. It's not. It's huge. That lake in and of itself is a huge lake. And the population extending to the south and all around that lake is big. Now, there's something else that I need to show you. Look at this. Okay, this is a hot spot. This is a hot spot I found just south of Lake Almanor. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back and take a look at where these earthquakes are. Okay, you see where that hot spot is. Let's go back and take a look at where these earthquakes are. Right here. They're further north in the water and to the east and to the west. Okay? Not around that hot spot. So you saw that hot spot to the south. Did you know there's a hot spot, several hot spots to the north? On the northeast side of the lake, multiple hot spots. Now, right now we don't have any explanation. I've searched the internet high and low. I went to the USGS sites, did me nothing. Gave me no information. These hot spots might represent magma beneath the surface. It would not surprise me at all. We've seen this happen before. Now some people might say, Ron, does this show fire? No, it's not. This is not fire. This is temperature beneath the surface. This has nothing to do with fire. Okay? This is not a forested area. This is rock and gravel and such. Yes, it might have weeds and grassy areas like that, but this is not a forested area in this hot spot. Now, in that other hot spot, let me go back and show you where it is. This one is not in a residential area. Okay? This is about as interesting as we can make it. This hot spot is out in farmers' fields. Yes, there are homes, businesses, and commercial stuff going on here, all over this area. Okay? This is also not a fire. So we have hot spots here. Okay? And these hot spots have nothing to do with earthquakes. Nothing to do with earthquakes. But, let me go back here. I want to show you what I see. Okay? See where the Indian Valley Fault goes into? In fact, let me pull this slide up a little bit so you can see this. Okay? The Indian Valley Fault goes right up into these earthquakes from 2013. Okay? The earthquakes we just had have nothing to do with the fault zone. Also, something you need to talk or think about, is this fault zone a reason for these hot spots? It's possible. If there's magma down there, And I'm not saying whether there is or isn't, but we've seen this happen before. We've seen magma down below the surface heat up the plates, heat up the ground, and yet they do not have any charted magma channels in this or any other area. Now, I am sure that they're probably going to do flights. NASA planes will probably be falling, or just not falling, but probably be flying over this entire area in the coming weeks, if not immediately, to analyze what exactly is going on underneath the ground. Will we ever find out the information from these flights? I doubt it. I don't have any one instance of NASA and the scientists on board those planes retrieving data from their underground ground penetrating radar. They haven't shared anything. Now, I know for a fact that the ground penetrating radar, they've been flying planes all over the Mojave Desert since Ridgecrest. They've been flying planes all over Los Angeles with ground penetrating radar. They've been flying planes up and down the Pacific Northwest, looking at the various volcanoes and the magma channels inside the crust, trying to give ourselves a better idea of when a volcano is going to erupt. They're looking also on the earthquake faults, finding out what condition the earthquake faults are in. But never once have they given us any further information that they have retrieved from the ground penetrating radar or any other information that they have gotten. I know for a fact what's on those planes because I've talked to people at Moffett Field, which is a NASA facility in Northern California. I've talked with NASA people in Florida, in New York, literally everywhere. Even Johnson Flight Center in Houston, the spacecraft facility in Houston. I've talked to people there, and no one's been able to give me any information about what's going on. They know better than we do. But when we have these quakes, instantly people like myself are trying to find out why. Why are we doing it? Because you and I have a right to know. We have a right to know if it will affect us. Someone asked me that early this morning. Is this going to affect us? Anybody in this area it is going to affect. Anybody that felt this earthquake, it's going to affect. This earthquake was felt. That earthquake that happened last night was felt all the way over into Nevada as a 5.0 earthquake. The people here around Lake Amador have a right to know because they felt this earthquake in a great way. And no, I checked to see if anyone, any media organization had any data on the damage from this earthquake. Guess what? Nothing is available at this time. Nobody has any current data about what happened last night. No damage reports, no reports of injuries, no reports of tidal waves, tsunami waves. This earthquake, folks, happened in the water. It happened in the water. last night. This could have easily caused a lake tsunami right here, especially if what we believe is true, that this was over a 6.0 earthquake in a lake. Not out in the ocean, but in a lake. Was there any kind of tidal motion? Tidal motion. Movement of water to the shore from the epicenter of this quake. Was there any tidal surge, meaning water being forced around the lake basin? That could have easily happened last night. You can see the spread of earthquake aftershocks. This is particularly concerning because this lake spans about 100 miles to the north. This is huge. This is a long distance. So we're probably talking anywhere between 25 and 50 miles right here. Okay? That's a long distance. And yes, friends and neighbors and loved ones that are here, this is huge. We have not seen an earthquake like this in California since the 6.5 on the Walker Lane Fault, Antelope Valley. No one's seen this since 2013. They've ignored it, or they have forgotten about it. Last night was probably a wake-up call for the people that live here, the people that fish here, the people that play in the water here. This was a complete wake-up call. And on the south end of this lake, there happens to be a dam, a pretty large dam. And we have no record of having anyone even checking this dam for possible damage to the dam structure itself. Isn't that interesting too? That's why I have done so much research about what happened last night. This was a very strong earthquake, felt all the way over into Nevada. And yes, these people probably have cracks in their walls. They probably have lost plates and other treasures as a result of this earthquake. A 5.1, which is one of the aftershocks that happened early this morning, that's a large quake. Large quakes can cause massive damage to structures and to ground deformation in the area. But yet we have heard nothing, no news coming out of this area as of yet. And I am going to stay on top of this until I hear something, one way or the other. Please, folks, we need to share this information in my program far and wide. People in Amador need to see what we've seen, what we're telling them. And as a result of watching this video, maybe USGS needs to be taken to task and find out why they're not being honest with all of us. I've just proven to you, that this earthquake was a lot larger. I've showed you the fault areas. I've shown you the history of recent quakes, 2013 and 2015. this probably will happen again. And since this was such a large quake, we may also see aftershocks happening for a long period of time. That's what I expect. As of this morning, there were 50 earthquakes. Now it's closer to 54 or more. 54 or more. What else is going to happen? That's my question. What else is going to happen as a result of what is going on? Now, some of you have also questioned whether this Lake Almanor earthquake was related to Mount Lassen. And I'm going to tell you possibly. Not probably, but possibly. Now, I want to show you something. Okay? I want to be clear about this. We've had a lot of people call me, message me. I even went on the earthquake messenger group, earthquake and volcano messenger group today live with personal video. I can only invite 8 people at a time to that video. We had only 5 that showed up out of the 8. One of the primary people that I really wanted there was my buddy Larry in Belize, South America. Or, not South America, Central America. I really wanted him here. Now, you guys may not have really good audio. Now, I hope you do. I just lowered the microphone. I put it up in the air earlier because I had some things to do and didn't want to bump into it. And I'm sorry if I had low audio with you guys. NanoGaf is saying geologic time is low until something snaps. You're absolutely right. Something snapped in Lake Almanor last night. Possibly as much as a 6.0 or larger earthquake. Because that's what it was. It wasn't a 5.5, regardless of what they said. It came out as a 6.0. Now, I'm showing you the seismogram I picked up from Mount Lassen today. Okay? I want to show it to you. I'm going to expand this seismogram out so you can truly see what I'm seeing here. Okay? Now, this seismogram happened this morning. At the top left of it, you see the date. Okay? You see today's date. All right? No, I'm sorry. This is This is 510. So this is data from yesterday. Okay? At the top of this. Yesterday at 12 noon. Look at all that magma coming into the magma chamber yesterday afternoon into yesterday evening. That's a lot. That's a heck of a lot. Now, they turn the seismograph down. They turned the machine down after this display of magma coming into the volcano. Then what you see here are tremors, or what looks to be tremors. It could have been large earthquakes. But what are these symbols now that you see in the center of this slide? These are vertical lines with curlicues on them. These curlicues, folks, are steam signatures. Steam signatures early this morning, just after midnight. Just after midnight. Okay? 1:30 this morning. Now, I'm going to raise this up so you can see more data here. Okay? Later this morning we had more earthquakes. They turned the seismograph back up. You can see the influx of magma into the magma channel inside the volcano here. Okay? You can see the pulsed magma signals here. Where there's less magma, thin lines here, and getting thicker. That process is called pulse magma. P-U-L-S-E-D. Pulsed magma signals. These pulsed magma signals show the magma coming in, and then you see the larger amounts of magma causing fracturing the rock. Lines are tremors and or earthquakes caused by the magma coming into the volcano under pressure, fracturing the rock inside the volcano. Just after 8 a.m. this morning, you see more vertical lines with curlicues. Those are steam signals. Steam signals. Why is this important? The steam signals show steam being released from the magma. 6 to 7% of all magma is water. 6 to 7% of all magma is water. So you can see Mount Lassen should be steaming. Now I told somebody earlier, well I told several people earlier that I had a picture of Mount Lassen steaming. I can't find it now. I went through all my files on Mount Lassen, even thinking I had files from 4 years ago. I can't find any files at all showing pictures of Mount Lassen steaming. I've got pictures of all kinds of volcanoes all around the world showing steaming events and eruptive events, but I can't find any of Mount Lassen. It is steaming. I promise you that. Okay? Now with that said, we're done with this particular seismogram, but this is not the only seismogram that we have available. There are approximately 15 seismographs all around this mountain. North, south, east, and west. 15. There's only 3 seismograms that are showing anything. They're showing anything. Now, there's something else that I want to show you here. Okay? I do have a picture here. This is a picture of a steam vent at the summit of Mount Lassen. This shows steam releases from several vents, and these vents are right at the summit. You see the piece of volcanic rock. That volcanic rock is a plug of Mount Lassen. Why do we have vents on the sides of this plug? I've explained that many times on this program. Not today, but I've shared with you many times explaining why the plug in the volcano would be steaming. Let me explain that again. Show my left hand here. Show my left hand here as being the plug in the volcano. Similar to a wine bottle having a plug. Okay? They have corks, right? Wine and champagne have corks in the bottles. The same is true for a volcano, except it's not cork. It's a great big huge lava plug left over when lava cooled down after an eruption, and then it became a solid piece of lava rock. That's what we see here. The magma coming up from underneath this volcano, underneath this plug in the volcano, is hammering away at that plug, right? The magma underneath inside the volcano is hammering at this plug. As it hammers, fissures open up in that lava plug. Fissures open up, cracks in the rock. Those cracks allow that steam from the magma, the boiling off of the water in the magma, they allow that steam to penetrate through that rock just like this. That's what we see going on here. Now, we have seen in other photos of volcanoes, we've seen great clouds, large clouds of steam leaving the volcano. The last time I showed you was this week of Mount Hood. We had current pictures of Mount Hood the other day that was steaming off. A large cloud held down over the mountain by high pressure. Atmospheric high pressure holding the steam cloud down over the summit of the mountain. The same thing occurs at Mount Lassen, at Mount Shasta, and other volcanoes as well. Sometimes we see a plume of steam rising straight up in the air. We've seen that at Mount Rainier, and at Mount St. Helens, and at Mount Hood. Steam plumes rising high into the air. That does happen. In this case, there were vents from that magma beneath that plug, hammering away at the plug, opening up slots, little tiny fissures, little cracks in the rock. That's what causes that steam to be released. Okay? Yes, Mount Lassen is steaming. I found this picture about 3 hours ago. So now you know Mount Lassen is steaming. But there's more. There's more. Let me reduce the size of this picture so I can show you more seismograms from Mount Lassen. Mount Lassen is indeed steaming. Okay? This is another picture of the seismogram at Mount Lassen. This is on the southern side of Mount Lassen. The seismograph is located on the southern side of Mount Lassen, about halfway down. These red lines are computer generated. Okay? The computer generates these red lines so it can get the attention of the seismologists there, to let the seismologists know, hey, something is happening that you need to know about. Now, up at the very top of this seismogram here, again, the top of this seismogram was recorded on the 10th of this month, 2 days ago. 2 days ago, at the top of this seismogram, it was 12 noon. Up at the top right, you see another vertical line with a curlicue on it. That is a steam signal here at Mount Lassen. The other vertical lines, I believe, are earthquakes. They're not steam. Those are earthquakes that hit. They're not showing otherwise. Sometimes USGS does not want us to know that this place is having earthquakes. People feel them, but there's no data to back it up. I know that for a fact because we have people here in this chat living near Shasta and Lassen that have felt tremors in their homes. and has seen cracks in their walls as a result of activity at these volcanoes. Here you see more magma coming into this volcano, don't you? Just like the other seismograph. You're seeing earthquakes, large blobs of magma coming into the volcano, causing tremors and or earthquakes. These vertical lines going through these blobs are earthquakes and tremors. Tremors nonetheless. Fracturing of the rock inside the volcano. Notice here that these horizontal lines have gotten thinner, haven't they? Okay. Up here in this same slide, there was more magma coming into the magma chamber, right? Here they got thinner. And you also should notice that on some of these lines there's a gap because someone turned the seismograph off for a short time. We've seen this time elevated in some cases to be hours. Here it's not. Just a matter of seconds, probably 30 to 40 seconds. Okay? But here you see earthquakes when the magma is coming in at a great amount. Blobs of magma. Why? The magma comes in and fractures the rock, causing earth movement. Okay? Then you see some of these lines getting thicker here. Okay? And you see more tremors here. But some of these lines, guys, some of these vertical lines do not have a dot in them. They have nothing to do with tremors. That means these lines are steam signatures. Down at the bottom here, you see these vertical lines with curlicues. Steam signatures. And some of these other vertical lines without curlicues, they're still steam. I've seen it many, many times over the years that I've been looking at these seismographs. And I went through about 150 plus seismograms a day. Not just about Mount Lassen. Some about that earthquake last night. Others about other earthquakes happening around the world. I went through a lot of seismograms today to figure out what was really going on. Now let me show you one more seismogram that I believe you need to see. This one is on the north side of Mount Lassen. This is seismograph LME. Seismograph LME. Seismograph LME, even a year ago, showed a lot more activity than it's showing here. Showing a lot more activity than it's showing here. Now, look at the date on this. Look at the date on this. Let me bring it down here. Again, this was 2 days ago. 2 days ago. They have not caught up and given us current data. This is 2 days ago. You can see what's going on here. Look at the thick line here. Look at that thick line. That's a lot of magma. That's a ton of magma. Now you see these big lines going up and going down. These large vertical lines going up and down are signals that the seismologists have turned the seismograph off. That's what happened here. Why are they turning it off? Because that volcano, in this case, Mount Lassen, is showing a lot of seismic activity. A lot of magma coming into the magma chamber. You can see it here. You can see it here just before 2 p.m. 2 days ago on the 10th. That line is very thick. This is also real. The red lines here are computer generated. Yes, there's red lines and no blue lines, which the seismograph should be showing. The red lines tell the seismologist, hey, you need to see this. But over here on the far right, that red line is very thick, huh? There was an event that they're hiding from us because the computer said there was an event. They're hiding from us. They turned the seismograph off. Then down here at approximately 6 p.m., just after 6 p.m., probably 6:01 or 6:02 p.m. on the 10th, they turned the seismograph back on, didn't they? Off and on. You see how thick this line is? Again, that's a lot of magma, isn't it? A ton of magma. A lot of magma entering the magma chamber of this volcano. Okay? They turned it off. They turned it on. Turned it off for about 5 or 6 minutes and turned it back on. And then you see about 10 minutes of active activity. A lot of magma coming into the magma chamber. And you see a little tiny thicker red line here. Again, the computer telling us, hey, something happened here. The seismologist should be aware of. There's multiple red lines here. Multiple red lines all over here. But they're not telling us what happened. They don't want us to know. All this other thing, you see these lines going up in the air or going down? The seismograph being turned off and on. Then it was off for a great period of time the day before yesterday. Look at that. Look at that time period that it was off. Then they turned it back on. They turned it back on at midnight yesterday. Midnight yesterday morning. Because we have these red lines here. These red lines going up are indicative of some kind of event that happened yesterday morning. No doubt in my mind that they happened. Now, before that, up here, a little bit further up here, at about 9:30, actually the bottom line here is 12 noon yesterday. 12 noon yesterday. We have a line here at 9:30 yesterday morning. What does this indicate? It's showing magma, it's thicker line. It's showing magma coming into this magma chamber. But this seismograph is so turned down that it's not registering much. Because they don't want us knowing. 9:30 yesterday morning, they turned it up for only a short time. And then they turned it off again. So it was off basically all day long. And then they turned it back on for a very short time. And then they turned it off just after noon yesterday. And you can see what happened. The red lines tell us a story. That the computer found information that the USGS did not want us to know. Does everybody get what I'm saying? Again, They do not want us to be aware of what exactly is happening at these volcanoes. Mount Lassen and everything else. They do not want us to know. It's very apparent. Okay? Does Almanor have anything to do with Mount Lassen? Possibly. I see no viable link right now today that shows this earthquake that happened last night have anything to do with Mount Lassen, which is the closest volcano to it. There was a lot of speculation last night and still today. Was this volcanically related? Was there any magma here? I showed you the hot spots. I showed you hot spots at the south and the north. That may indicate there's magma down beneath the surface because there was no fire. Yes, I obtained these hotspot details from the map from NASA firm's software. Their satellite up in the space. Up in space. Okay? Now, the NASA information, when you first go to that page, it says do not use this information when it comes to individual safety. Do not use that information for individual safety. I'm just showing you what we see. Hotspots on the south and the northeast side of Lake Almanor. Hotspots to the south are in a populated area. The hotspots to the northeast are in a semi-unpopulated area. Very slight population density. Okay? Certainly not in a forested area. So there you have it. Okay? I wanted to make sure that you saw what I saw. Okay? Now, Lake Almanor in this photo is down here to the right. You can see it. This, folks, is a swarm of earthquakes. This is a swarm of earthquakes, November 2014. Why am I showing it to you? Because, folks, there has been a lot of earthquakes that nobody even realizes. A swarm of earthquakes near Mount Lassen in 2014. We've shown you information tonight from the seismogram from 2 days ago showing activity at Mount Lassen the day before yesterday and yesterday. I am sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt, I am sure that the same thing is going on today. I've seen it happen. I've been looking at these seismograms for a lot of years now. I know what these seismograms say. So that's what's going on. Does anybody have any questions about any of the information that I've given you? I know it's taken a lot of time to explain, but I wanted to cover all the elements of what's going on. I showed you that last slide showing you the distance between Lake Almanor and Mount Lassen. And I wanted to show you those earthquakes because that happens. It happens all the time. Does anybody have any questions? Carol's asking, is there a fault or a volcano under Lake Almanor? I do not believe that there is a volcano there. I showed you the faults. Carol, if you only joined us as of the last little while, you may not have seen the beginning of our program. Yes, we talked about the border situation right at the beginning, but immediately after that, I showed you pictures of where the earthquake hit. I showed you pictures of where the faults are south of Lake Almanor. The Indian Valley and the Mohawk Faults run just south of this lake. I do not believe that this lake is volcanic. I don't believe it has anything to do with it. I've checked a lot of data today. It shows nothing about volcanism in this area. Now I showed you the hot spots. That may mean that there's magma down below that area, just north and south of Lake Almanor. Hot spots. There certainly were no fires there. I checked it and double checked it. There are no fire activities there. Any other questions? Carl Sr.'s asking, when Juan de Fuca cracks, they all blow. Not necessarily. Volcanoes only erupt after there's major seismic activity in the area. Now, volcanoes come to be because of subduction. Subduction. The Pacific Fault, the Pacific Plate, is taking a deep dive just off the coast of North America. It's taking a deep dive underneath the North American Plate. There are several plates, especially up north. Okay? There's a Juan de Fuca Plate. There is a seismic Cascadia megathrust earthquake fault there. But there's other plates there. Okay? We talked about them before. The Farallon Fault. The plate. Several different plates up north. But the Pacific Plate runs the entire gamut from Alaska all the way down through Mexico. The Pacific Plate is taking a deep dive underneath the North American Plate. It's going straight down towards the mantle. Okay? Where there's subduction, the plate going underneath the North American Plate, it causes lift. Lift in the earth, causing mountains to rise. As the mountains rise, there's also magma down there. Remember, there's the asthenosphere that runs underneath the crust of the earth, right? As that plate takes a deep dive, it's going to create mountains, right? And that magma that's down underneath the crust of the earth that we walk on, the crust of the earth is anywhere from 39 miles deep to 69 miles deep. Down beneath there is the asthenosphere where the magma is. And that magma is coming up to the volcanoes. Made a magma channel from the asthenosphere up in towards the volcanoes. All the volcanoes around the world are the same way. They're all the same way. There's a deep magma plume. Let me bring up the USGS map here. I'll show you down in the South Pacific where this is happening. Everybody needs to see this. Okay? We show this USGS map all the time. Everybody should see this. Okay? Let's go down here into the deep South Pacific here. Way down here in the South Pacific here. Way down here in the South Pacific, there is a magma plume coming from down in the asthenosphere and also from deep within the earth. This magma plume from the Pacific goes over to all the volcanoes literally around the world, including Hawaii. There happens to be a hot spot over here on the southeastern side of the island, Big Island of Hawaii. This hot spot comes over here to Pahala, Hawaii. P-A-H-A-L-L-A. Pahala, Hawaii. Okay? This is where you see earthquakes caused by magma coming up here towards the surface. Here is a 2.9. Right next to it that just happened in the red, this is a 1.9 tremor. The 2.9 was an earthquake. 2.0 to 2.9 is considered to be a minor earthquake. We know what the USGS does. They downgrade earthquakes to the nearest 0.9. So this may have been a larger quake. This may have been a large 3.0, which would be a small quake. Not a large 5.0, but a small quake. They didn't want the people in history to know that this was a larger quake, so they dubbed it a 2.9 minor earthquake. Needless to say, this was a little bit larger quake. And there are 1.9s here as well. For example, here. This is a 2.1. Let me find a smaller tremor here. Right here. This is a 1.9 here. 1.0 to 1.9 are considered to be minor tremors. 2.0 to 2.9, minor earthquakes. All these earthquakes around here in Pahala are caused by that magma plume coming here and feeding the Big Island. Pahala is like a gas station. Pahala is like a gas station that supplies magma to all the volcanoes around Hawaii, including here. This is Kilauea volcano at Halemaumau crater. Kilauea. Look at all the earthquakes here. Why? Because Kilauea is erupting, guys. That's why we're having quakes. This one here that's red just happened. It just illuminated to blue. It's a 1.9 tremor here. A 1.9 tremor. Off to the southeast side of the crater at Kilauea, this is a 2.0 magnitude earthquake, minor earthquake. But you can see how magma comes here and it's near the surface, causing rock fracturing to happen. As magma comes up towards the volcano, it's causing rock fracturing at the volcano. And this is what's going on here. Further down here to the east side of Kilauea, this is a 2.2 magnitude earthquake, a minor earthquake. This is in an area what they call fern forest. Fern forest here on the Big Island. And why do they call it that? Okay? It used to be a fern forest, literally. There is a lot of forested area here. A lot of green area. Look here, near even north of where this earthquake hit, and also east, or actually west of where this earthquake hit, and east to here as well. You see other craters here. This is where magma came out and vented. Magma came out of the volcano here on the Big Island and vented. And when it vented, it ran towards the Pacific Ocean. All this area here. Now, the last time that this area here had lava coming out of one of the craters was when a fissure had opened up 3.5 years ago. A fissure opened up here at Kilauea, near Kilauea anyway. Kilauea, the lava and magma that had come into the volcano at Kilauea dissipated and went back down into the magma channels. And all of a sudden, Pu'u'o'o crater, which is just around where you saw that earthquake that I just got through showing you, that 1.9, 2.0 earthquake, Pu'u'o'o was over there. The magma and lava that had come up into Pu'u'u crater and Kilauea crater drained out. And for a while, scientists were wondering where it went. Within a few days, fissures started opening up here in Fern Forest and further north. Further north over here into Leilani Estates. So you see all of that area that had magma, lava, coming up here to the fissures. All that lava, folks, turned into a great nightmare because 24 fissures ended up opening up. 24 fissures opened up, spewing lava all over the landscape. Literally all over the landscape. What do you think happened? Some of those sites, folks, some of those fissures that opened up turned into a lot more than that. A lot more than that. What do you think happened? Some of those fissures turned into craters and cones, volcanic cones. And they're now named volcanoes. Named volcanoes. That's what happened. There's a lot going on, guys. There's a heck of a lot going on. And you're only going to find that out if you do the research about it, which I did. I followed the whole thing. I reported on what happened. And sorry, USGS took our map down. Let's go back to Hawaii real quick, and then we'll come back here to the United States. Yes, there are other earthquakes that happen today. Down here in the South Pacific and to the Western Pacific here and all over the world. And up into Northern Canada, which we can talk about in a minute. But let's go back here to Hawaii. Okay? I have a couple more things to show you here on the Big Island of Hawaii. When the lava drained out of Kilauea and Pu'u'u crater, like I said, the scientists didn't know what happened to it. But within a couple days, these fissures started opening up here. 24 fissures opened up finally. And lava came spewing out from these fissures. That's where the magma went, to these fissures over here in the northeast rift zone. Okay, over here in Fern Forest that I got through telling you about. It added new land to the Big Island. The lava that came out poured into the Pacific Ocean and added new land. Over here in Leilani Estates, I just enlarged this map so you can see it. These are lava plumes. Toxic gases, sulfur dioxide, CO2, and carbon dioxide pouring out from the lava here, the open lava. Okay, now you can see the lava plumes down here at the side of the ocean, pouring into the ocean. Okay, look at that. What do you see here? Yes, you see the lava plume. You actually see the lava coming down from the hills here. Coming down through the hills and pouring into the ocean. And you can see the hot lava hitting the water. And you can actually see the violent action of the hot lava pouring into the ocean and the ocean boiling here. You can actually see the tiny plumes and the volcanic hair coming out of the ocean water. It's called peleis here. When lava cools down as rapidly as it did, hitting the cooler waters of the Pacific Ocean, it created peleis here. It's one of the conditions that happens when lava comes out and hits colder water. It creates Paley's hair, which is a volcanic glass. Paley's hair can also be ingested or inhaled. If you inhale it, it would cut your inner side of your nose, your sinus cavity, and down into your lungs and your respiratory tract. If it comes into your mouth and goes down into your lungs, it can create all kinds of problems, bleeding, and death. If it hits your skin and you rub it into your skin or scratch yourself, that Paley's hair will cut your skin. People at the time were told to wear long sleeve shirts or clothing to protect their skin. They were told to wear hats because there was actually ash coming out from the fissures and coming out from the larger break openings in the fissures that turned into volcanoes themselves. Great huge fountains of lava were pouring out of these fissures and from these cones and craters. So there's ash coming back down and falling on the surface. This was creating a large, bad emergency for citizens over here on the Big Island and over in Leilani, and specifically over in Fern Forest and Leilani Estates. Over 1,000 homes were destroyed. Businesses in the area destroyed. People living in that area had to be relocated to other places. They could not, if their homes were still there, they could not go back into their home area because of the hot lava fields. Eventually, some of these hot lava fields cooled, and the people that still had homes were allowed to go in and check on their homes. Other people came and found the lava had destroyed their homes, burnt them to the ground, and covered the ground, where no homes were even seen again. That's what happened here on the Big Island. And you can see the destructive power of the lava hitting the cold ocean. Even though the ocean's like 80 degrees, the lava that came out from this volcano is upwards of 2,000, 2,500 degrees above Fahrenheit. Okay? 2,000, 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit. And here's another example further north here. Seeing the same thing. Lava pouring into the ocean here, causing a great deal of destruction in the water, turning the water upside down literally. And now there's a great deal more land here as the lava came here and created more land all over this part of the island, what they call the Eastern Rib Zone. And here you can see lava that was still steaming in the water. Still steaming in the water. And you can see the lava just barely breaking the surface here. Now, I've not seen recent pictures of the Big Island here. I'd be wondered to know exactly what happened and how much land had been physically created from this eruption here. It would be very interesting. I've been told something like 200 acres, American acres. A hectare, a European hectare is nearly equivalent to 1 acre, just so you know. But that's what happened on Hawaii. Okay? You can only imagine what has already happened in other places around the world. Hawaii has 4 volcanoes here. I showed you Kilauea, where all these other earthquakes hit here today. Over here to the west, we have Mauna Loa volcano here. We don't show any earthquakes here at Mauna Loa today. However, if I pull the seismograms from Mauna Loa and Mauna Kea and Hualalai, which is the other volcano here, there's plenty of earthquakes to spare. here at Mauna Loa and Mauna Kea right here. This is Mauna Kea. Mauna Kea actually has more earthquakes and tremors than Mauna Loa right now. That's always been the case. When they said that Mauna Loa was going to erupt before Mauna Kea, I'm going, oh really? Because at one point, Mauna Kea had 2 times the amount of earthquakes and tremors that Mauna Loa did. But the difference was deformation, land uprise, volcanic uprise occurring from magma pouring into the volcano. That was the difference. Ground deformation. It's a big deal. Then further over here to the west, there's another volcano here. It's called Hualalai. Hualalai also has earthquakes hitting there, but never anywhere near what Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa have or Kilauea. There's only a handful of earthquakes here at Hualalai. Just so you know. Hurricane Heather says a 5.2 earthquake over there in Tonga. Not surprising. Not surprising at all. I spoke with Rob, who is one of our mods. I spoke with him very briefly earlier. I was very busy, so wasn't able to spend a great deal of time with him. But he told me about earthquakes that were hitting here in South Fiji. South Fiji, south of Tonga. Okay? This is a 5.2, they say, is south of Tonga. Okay? It's a great deal ways, a great way, distance-wise, away from Tonga. A 5.2 here. This is a 4.3 south of Fiji. Okay? This, folks, is a 4.8 near its east-northeast of Whangali Onga, Tonga. Whangali Onga, Tonga. It's a 4.8. 65 miles east-northeast of Whangali Onga, Tonga. Okay? It's in the islands here. I can zoom in and show you some of the islands here. You can see these islands southeast, and, southwest here, this earthquake. Okay? Now, this says it's east-northeast from Whangali Onga, Tonga. It might very well be. Okay? But these are the islands of Tonga here. Just so you know. There's a bunch of them. And further north and east is the island, or the islands of Samoa. Okay? Now, you can see that they didn't even show any earthquakes here in New Zealand. They never do, or very rarely do. There's plenty of 2s and 3s here on the south and the north island of New Zealand here. Okay? Plenty of earthquakes and tremors. Yesterday, folks, there was a 4.2 over here just on the north ridge of Taupo volcano. Yes, folks, this is a lake over on the North Island of New Zealand, Taupo Lake. Beneath it is Taupo volcano. It is a super volcano here in New Zealand. This was a moderate earthquake over here on the northwestern rim of Taupo volcano. Okay? Yes, they are getting tremors, they are getting earthquakes here all the time. There are several other volcanoes down here to the south, right here. Okay? Also further to the west, right here. There's another volcano here. There's more volcanoes over on the South Island as well. Okay? But a super volcano over here on the Big Island, the North Island of New Zealand. and yet they don't want to tell us about some of these earthquakes. They don't. I have to go to other means to retrieve the data. They don't want to tell us. They only tell us what they want us to know. Okay, over here, this is Isangale, Vanuatu. This is also a moderate 4.6 earthquake. 160.8 miles deep. That's a good sized earthquake, that deep. This is going to produce, as a result of this earthquake and the deepness of the earthquake, it's going to produce a more shallow, probably a 5.1 to 5.3 magnitude earthquake as a result of this 4.6 earthquake today. This earthquake over here, this 5.2, was only 18.7 miles deep, a shallow earthquake. It probably is not going to do anything. This earthquake off to the west, this 4.3, this is 310 miles deep. This is a very deep earthquake. This is a 4.3. This will cause a shallower, stronger earthquake in terms of possibly 5.3 to 5.5 as a result of this quake. The earthquake just north of there, this 4.8, this is only 6.2 miles deep, 10 kilometers deep. This one's not going to do anything. This is a localized quake. Okay? The deeper the quake, the greater the possibility of having a larger earthquake that's more shallow, that will do more damage. Deep quakes rarely do a lot of damage. Yes, they do some, but the more shallow quakes cause more damage. Over here, this is Guam. Notice they show one earthquake down here on the western side of Australia. This is I got the hiccups tonight for some reason. This is a 4.5 earthquake down here off the western shores of Australia. This is also 6.2 miles deep, 10 kilometers deep. It's not going to do anything. This is also offshore, slightly offshore. This 4.5 was probably not even felt at Cable Beach, Australia. It's 124 miles west of Cable, Australia. The ocean waters here absorbed that seismic energy. Okay, it was a localized quake in the water. But over here in Guam, guys, notice there was no other earthquakes at all. Nothing else here in Indonesia. That's a lie. There are a ton of earthquakes, probably 25 or 30 earthquakes here in Indonesia that they're not showing us. Again, USGS doesn't give one hoot and hell, one hoot and holler about what they're don't want to show. People get killed by earthquakes, and yet they don't want to show what's going on. These smaller earthquakes that are deep cause larger, shallow earthquakes that kill people. Heaven forbid they tell us. This is in Guam, guys, or over by Guam. This is actually a 5.1 large earthquake. This is south-southwest of Guam, 68 miles away from Guam. This earthquake was only felt in the area where it was at. It was surrounded by ocean water, so nobody felt it. A large 5.1 earthquake that nobody felt. This earthquake here, just off the coast of the Philippines here. This was 9 miles east of Santa Monica, Philippines, a moderate 4.6 earthquake. Nobody probably even felt this because the ocean waters absorbed the seismic energy here. 6.2 miles deep, okay? A shallow earthquake. They haven't shown any other earthquakes here. That's a lie. off the coast, the west coast of Luzon, Philippines. Here's a 4.4 moderate earthquake here. Okay? This again was 10 kilometers deep, 6.2 kilometers deep. 7 miles northwest of Tomorong, Philippines. This earthquake probably absorbed some of the shock waves from this quake. However, somebody probably felt something because it was so close to shore. Just 7 miles northwest of Luzon, Philippines. Okay? A moderate 4.4. 4.4s rarely do any damage at all. Over here, this occurred over here just barely off the coast of Taiwan. This was another 4.4 earthquake, 6.2 kilometers deep, 10 kilometers deep, 6.2 miles deep. Okay? Just off the coast, another 4.4. So close to land, 7 miles northwest of this location, folks. Actually 56 miles. 56 miles southeast of Hualien City, Taiwan. Hualien City is up here. You can see it up there. Okay? Nobody probably felt much of anything unless they live right near shore. Okay? Yes, there's some people that are on or live around this highway here. Okay? There are some people living here. They may have felt something. But again, this earthquake was offshore and probably didn't feel much of anything. Ocean waters absorbed the shock of this quake as well. Holly, knock it off. Over here in southern Japan, this is a 4.3. Okay? Yes, people felt this here. They felt this. This was right here, just on the coast here. People living here in Japan probably felt something here. Moderate earthquakes don't do much damage at all. If they do, it's slight damage, like pictures falling off walls, or knickknacks, or things falling off shelves, including books. Okay? 4.3 earthquake, 34 kilometers deep, or 34 miles deep. Not a big deal. Shallow quake. Okay? Over here, this is off Honshu. This is a 4.1 moderate quake here. This is only 84 kilometers deep. This, folks, was felt. It's just a small, not a small, it's a moderate 4.1. The lower end of the moderate scale. This area is highly populated. Highly populated all throughout this area. There are homes and businesses and apartments and such here in Japan. This quake was felt. Just a moderate quake, some shaking. Some shaking. Now there were other things that happened. Literally all over the world. We got no reports at all today from Russia or China or India. However, over here in Africa, this is over in the Gulf of Aden. The Gulf of Aden near Sudan. Near Sudan, Saudi Arabia area. This is a 4.4 moderate quake here. 6.2 miles deep, not a big deal. This one here is different. This earthquake here was different. Why do I say that? This is a 4.5 near the same area that got horsewhipped by that 9.0, 10.0 earthquake that happened here a few months ago. This is a 4.5 moderate quake, 2.8 miles deep. What USGS is not showing us that I get mad about is that, folks, they're showing us one quake. There's over 100 earthquakes here. There's over 100 earthquakes here in this area of Turkey, and they're not showing them to us because they don't think anyone deserves to know what exactly is going on. There are people from all over the world that count on the United States Geological Survey to be honest. Well, they can't. The United States government cannot be honest with its people. There are earthquakes literally all over Turkey. Earthquakes over here in Romania, the Czech Republic. Earthquakes over here in Greece, right here. Greece, the island of Crete here. They're not showing anything here. There are earthquakes all over this area. They're not showing us anything in Italy or Sicily. Not showing us anything in Slovakia and Czechoslovakia, the Czech Republic. Not showing anything. That's sad. They're not showing anything along the border area of Italy, Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. There are earthquakes here. There are earthquakes over here in Spain. Earthquakes south of Spain over here to the east side of the Strait of Gibraltar. Yes, there are earthquake faults here. And earthquakes here. Earthquakes over here into the Azores, just to the southwest of Portugal. Okay? There are even some minor tremors over here in the Canary Islands, but heaven forbid we would be allowed to see them. Okay? Up here in Iceland, there are earthquakes hitting here in southern Iceland. Guess what? We're not being allowed to see them. Yesterday, early yesterday morning, far off in the north area, near the North Pole, there was a 4.5 earthquake over northern Russia. A 4.5 earthquake over northern Russia, over here near the North Pole. Guess what? USGS did not even show it. You had to go hunting for that earthquake to find it. Isn't that sweet? Isn't that just sweet? Okay? Let me show you something. Okay? Over here in the southern Atlantic Ocean. This is a moderate earthquake in the South Sandwich Islands, a 4.6 earthquake. The South Sandwich Islands are not inhabited. The South Sandwich Islands are pieces of ice, literally, on top of land masses here. Not inhabited. The only time anybody goes in or near those islands is for scientific research and research only. High winds and horrible sea conditions are all around these islands, and that's why nobody goes near them. Up here in the mid-Atlantic earlier today, there was another 4.6 earthquake here. They've taken it down. Over here in South America, they show us 2 earthquakes over in northern Colombia. Guess what? There are more earthquakes than that. All the way down the coast area of Chile. Over here on the southwestern rise off the coast of Chile, we had a 4.9, 5.0 large earthquake. This was 6.2 miles deep, 10 kilometers deep. Out in the ocean, it did not do anything but shake. The ocean waters absorbed the shock waves from that large earthquake today. Earthquakes all over the coast of western South America. They're not showing anything but up here in Colombia, which is sad. Actually, this is Ecuador, I'm sorry. This one is in Ecuador. This one is a 4.5, still 10 kilometers deep. 10 kilometers deep. This was on land. This was on land up near the volcanoes in Ecuador. Okay? 10 miles north of Angel, Ecuador. Okay? Right near the volcanoes here. Over here in, excuse me, I don't know why It wasn't allowing me to do this. A 4.6 earthquake near Peque, P-E-Q-U-E, Colombia. 4.6 earthquake, 32 kilometers deep. But again, they're not showing anything else, are they? Over here in Central America, not showing any earthquakes at all, and there are. There are a lot of earthquakes here. Over here in southern Mexico, tons of earthquakes. They're not showing them to us. That's sad. Over here, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. Just one earthquake in the southeastern side of the Dominican Republic. It's a small 3.4. 65 kilometers deep. Still not that deep. Over here in the Mona Strait. The Mona Strait is a body of water between the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. This is another 3.4, 8 miles deep. Just northeast of there, this is another 3.4, 62 miles deep. To the east of there, this is a 3.8, 21 miles deep. Over here, to the east, this is over on the north end of the U.S. Virgin Islands, another 3.8, 15 miles deep. These earthquakes to the southwest of Puerto Rico, they are aftershocks of two 8.0 and 8.4 magnitude earthquakes nearly 4 years ago. December 26 and December 28, nearly 4 years ago. 8.0 and 8.4 earthquakes. We're still getting aftershocks from that earthquake, those earthquakes. This is a 2.6, 3.9, 4, actually 4 miles deep. This one here is a 2.3 minor earthquake, 7.6 miles deep. This earthquake is a 2.4, 11 miles deep. Okay, so I've shown you that. Now there's something else I need to show you before we end this program. I came and showed you around the world, literally. I want to show you something else that happened here near me today. USGS is reporting a 2.1 magnitude earthquake in southwestern North Carolina. They're showing a 2.1 earthquake here. I want to tell you folks, USGS is lying through their proverbial teeth. Absolutely out and out lying. And I can prove it. Let's go quickly over towards my North Carolina where I live. Guess what, guys? This is Roland, North Carolina. Roland, North Carolina. Look at the earthquakes here. You tell me if USGS should be lying to us. Absolutely not. But these earthquakes here are larger than the 2.1. The 2.1, folks, let me show you something. The 2.1, guys, the 2.1, guys, could be this earthquake right here. Okay? This could be the 2.1 right there. I think this may have even been larger than that. This happened after 7:37 a.m. this morning. This larger earthquake was closer to a 3.0. A 3.0. Now, I enlarge this seismogram so you can see what I'm talking about. Look at this earthquake. You can see the buildup of seismic activity from about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes after that, so it would be 7:36 a.m. this morning, you can see the buildup of seismic energy. All these tremors building up to these earthquakes. 2.1, 2.3 earthquake here, at least. Possibly as big as 2.5. But after that minor earthquake settled down a bit, it was still in the secondary wave of the earthquake. It settled down from a 2.5 to just tremors, a secondary quake as a result of the other quake. Maybe 30 seconds worth of secondary shaking. Then it starts building up again. First building into larger tremors and then into this earthquake here. Now, let me enlarge this again. I want you to see this. Look at these lines here. Multiple lines going straight up here. What do these multiple lines mean? These multiple lines meaning multiple earthquakes, back to back, second after second. This earthquake lasted probably 10 seconds for this to happen. These are P waves. P waves, folks. This was at least a 3.0, maybe slightly larger. And look at the dissipation of the secondary wave. It goes down to a 2.0 almost immediately. Then it goes down to just tremors. The tremors last for about 45 seconds. And they dissipate out to what they call a body wave. And you can see what I'm talking about in the body wave. It literally almost disappears. Now, I'm going to bring this out here. Why? Because the body wave did not really continue much after 7:45 a.m. this morning over on the left-hand side. But you can see these other earthquakes here. On this red line, this is after 9 o'clock, 9:15 in the morning. This is about 9:18 in the morning. This is close to a 3.0 earthquake, if not at least a 2.9. And again, you can see multiple 2.9s hitting, just seconds after the other. And you can see the tremor build up and also the tremor going down into a secondary wave to the right after the other major part of that quake. And it wasn't a major quake, I'm not saying that. Okay? This was a 2.9 magnitude quake, a minor earthquake. But after the major part of the quake shaking settles down, it's the secondary part of the quake. That secondary part of the quake lasted almost a minute and a half, probably close to 85 seconds. Then it dissipated into a body wave. That body wave lasted for just over 3 minutes. Then it immediately goes into another tremor mode, gradually rising to another earthquake. This one, I believe, was at least a 3.0. Then we had the dissipation of seismic energy, again a secondary wave. That secondary wave lasting out to almost 80 seconds again, just over a minute. And you see these other earthquakes here as well. Okay, this one on the blue line is just at 10:31 this morning here in North Carolina. Okay, look at this green one. This is after 10:45. This is about 10:55 a.m. this morning. 10:55 a.m. this morning. You can see what I'm talking about. This was a lot of energy expelled here in North Carolina. But there's more. I'm going to show you more here. I'm going to show you a seismogram near me. This is just about 45 minutes from me. This is Taylorsville, North Carolina. I felt these. For the most part, these were just minor earthquakes, but I felt them. There's a different strata, a different amount of rock, different from other parts of the country. Okay? Seismic energy travels through rock, just like water. And as it moves, you feel it. These quakes over here, I felt this morning. Okay? These quakes on the blue line, I felt this morning. I had just woken up, sitting on the edge of my bed, and I felt minor rumbling beneath my feet. The other stuff is just minor tremors. Just minor tremors. But there were earthquakes also. Okay? And this wasn't the only place. There's probably 3 or 4 more seismograms I could show you. But folks, I have more. Now, before I go here, and I'll come back to this in just a minute. But before I go here, I want to show you again the USGS map. There's a reason. There's a very good reason for it. Okay? I'm going to take you west from here. I'm going to take you west to the Pneumatic Fault. Okay? Over here in the Pneumatic Fault. This is the center of the Pneumatic Fault. This is Marston, Missouri. Marston, Missouri. They show a 2.2 magnitude earthquake, a minor earthquake. 2.2 here in Marston. Over here is Ridgely, Tennessee. 2 different earthquakes. They show a 1.6 here in Ridgely, Tennessee, and a 2.2 in Marston. So let us folks go over to Marston, Missouri first. Okay? I want to show you this, just to show you what they are not telling us. Basically because they refuse, they absolutely refuse to tell us what's going on. Okay? Let me enlarge this seismogram. This is over in Ridgely, Tennessee this morning. Look at all the tremors here. Look at all the tremors. There was more than a 1.6 tremor here. A lot more. 1.3s, 1.2s here. Then over here, later this morning. Okay? I'm going to enlarge this here. This is after 7 o'clock this morning. Look at these tremors here. Okay? Do you see what I'm talking about? Do you see what the lies they're telling us? Okay? Some of these tremors here are larger than 1.6. There's a lot more than what they're saying here as well. Okay? Let's go over to Marston, Missouri. Let me show you Marston. I think we should hang the people at the USGS. I think we should hang them. Okay? This is a seismogram this morning at Marston, Missouri. Okay? Look what we have here. Up at the top of this. Let me enlarge this so you can see it. Up at the top of this seismogram, and the top line on the black line is midnight on the left-hand side. 12 a.m. Over across a 15-minute time period here, on this top line, you see seismic energy increasing. It first starts out as a microquake. Then it starts building in tremor frequency. You can see the tremor increase here. A huge tremor increase over an entire 15-minute time period. Look at the tremor increase here. 3 minutes, actually 4 or 5 minutes of tremor activity from 1.1 on up here. But look where it goes here. Over on the 12-15 minute line. We have another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes before it dissipates again into a body wave. Microquakes. Okay? Yeah, it got up to 1.2 here. But what is this one? What is this one on this blue line here? Okay? This is just before, actually just after 4:30. I'm not going to say even before 5. This is after 4:30 this morning. Okay? This is actually at 4:34 this morning. Okay? This is at least a 2.3, maybe even a 2.4 earthquake. They called it a 2.2. Look at the length of the earthquake, the vertical line of the earthquake. That's at least a 2.3, 2.4. They called it a 2.2. They did not identify all the other seismic information, which was tremors here. Look at all these tremors here. Look at all the tremors. Now, folks, I have a problem with that, as you can quite guess. I have problems with a lot of the crap that they put out, because it's just that, crap. Okay? Let me reduce this in size because I have one more to show you. It's Marston, Missouri this afternoon. Marston, Missouri this afternoon. This is Marston, Missouri this afternoon. There are no more big quakes, no more tremors here. Actually, there were tremors here, but they were tiny tremors. Do you see what I'm talking about? They don't mention anything else. They show one seismic event at all. That's it. They don't want people to know what's going on. They showed a 2.1 earthquake here in North Carolina, when in actuality, folks, I just showed you 4 earthquakes. 4 good-sized earthquakes. And I'm talking 3.0, maybe larger. Yes, they were small earthquakes. 3 or 4 large earthquakes, or larger earthquakes today, near where I live. And I felt a couple of them. And they don't have the balls to be honest with us. Everybody within the sound of my voice, everybody around this country should be writing USGS now, checking out the information themselves, check out the information yourself, and then call and email and write hard copy letters and inundate the United States Geological Survey and ask them why they're lying, why they refuse to identify earthquakes, why they refuse to be honest with the public about what the hell is going on. They're not reporting accurately on the volcanoes. They're not reporting accurately on the earthquakes. People have the right and deserve the right to know what's going on in their communities. And they have been refusing to tell us. I've proven that tonight. People refuse to be honest. People refuse to be honest. Folks, if you enjoyed what we talked about tonight, you enjoyed the information we gave you, that you can use the information yourself to protect yourselves, give us a thumbs up. Let us know that you appreciate it. We have right now 139 thumbs up, which I greatly appreciate. Please give us a ton of thumbs up. That would make me even happier. Okay? That would make me ecstatic. We probably have close to 400 or 500 that are watching us right now. Maybe more than that. Usually it's a lot more. Yesterday's program, we had over 1,000 people that watched yesterday's program. I'm grateful for that because we're getting out the information. We're getting out the information that something is wrong. Something could cause injury or death to anyone because these agencies aren't telling us the truth. Whatever USGS goes, all the other agencies around the globe go by the U.S. agency. The U.S. agency is supposed to be the predominant agency in the world, yet the predominant agency is not telling the truth. Plain and simple. That's the bottom line. Please, folks, please do that. Share it. Share it. Nathan Hester says he would love to give me 100 thumbs up, but they won't recognize that. And I understand that. I totally get it. But folks, if you enjoy what we're talking about, now we have 143 thumbs up. That's great. That's awesome. Please, folks, also, whatever you do, when you watch our program, stay here for a good, significant amount of time. The longer people watch our program, the better chance we have of other people on YouTube. YouTube does let other people see us when they want to. The more subscribers we get, the more people that YouTube allows to see this program. Thumbs up, subscribers, and the amount of time that you watch this program. All that goes into a big analytical factor. YouTube determines who they're going to let see this program and who they're not. One other thing, if you enjoy what we're doing, leave a comment below this video in the comment sections after we close down the video. That would also be greatly appreciated. The number of comments also goes into that analytical factor, whether they allow other people on YouTube to watch this program. We greatly appreciate that. Also, friends and family, please share this with your friends and family, your neighbors, the people you run into, your extended family, your social media contacts, and the people you work with. Please let them know about this channel and what we do to help save lives. No, I did not talk about emergency preparedness tonight. I didn't get around to it because of what information that I wanted to put out about the Almanor earthquake and the other earthquakes that happened. Because, folks, you guys are being impacted. You guys are being impacted, and I wanted to make sure that all of you know what's going on. That's a whole thing about our channel. Yes, we talk about emergency preparedness a lot. We want to make sure everybody has a plan. And when an earthquake or emergency, any kind of emergency happens, you need to have a plan how you're going to handle it, what you're going to do, how you're going to get through that emergency, and how you're going to come out ahead on the outside of that emergency once it's all over. Write a plan about any kind of emergency that could happen in your life, depending on where you're living. Second, make sure you have a food storage plan. You need to have at least 6 months worth of food, edible food, in case of an emergency. And they're going to happen. It's no longer in case of. It's going to happen. It happens all the time. Make sure you have a food storage plan. If you can, have other emergency food as well. Okay? I talk all the time about freeze-dried food. This is great. Yes, I get the majority of my food from 4 Patriots. I like the taste. It's very nutritious and does a good job for me. It makes me feel good. Breakfast, lunches, and dinner. In just this package alone, it has 3 days worth of food in it. All you have to do is add water. Okay? If you like For Patriots, the number you want to call, if you want to get a piece of paper and write down this number, that would be good for you. The number is 800-807-607-0943. 800-607-0943. For Patriots. They just don't have food. They have supplies and equipment that you can get from For Patriots. You can cruise their website. They have all kinds of things. Okay? For Patriots is great. So is Patriot Foods. Okay? There's quite a few different food companies. I just happen to like For Patriots. Okay? Now the third thing you need to have besides food, you need to have water. You need to have lots of water. FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, says you need to have at least 1 gallon of water per day per person. I'm going to up that to 3 gallons per day per person. 3 gallons of water per day per person. I have 5 to 6 months worth of water here where I live. I keep that here. I have water to flush toilets. I have water to brush my teeth. I have water to wash my body with. I have plenty of water here. We can talk about emergency preparedness another time. I don't like to put that off because I want to make sure that people can get prepared. That's why we talk about it. But those 3 things, a plan, food storage and survival food, and water. Those 3 things. Now folks, I love you. I care about you. More than anything, I care about all of you. There's something that I want to share with you that I picked up off a friend of mine's Facebook story. Okay? I wanted to show you this because I feel that it's important. This, folks, is a quote from a man named Thomas S. Monson. He was a friend of mine. He says, when we treat people merely as they are, they will remain as they are. When we treat them as if they were what they should be, they will become what they should be. Now, I'm going to take this even further. If we want to treat people like we want to be treated, then not only will they become who and what they should be, but so will we. Treat other people like you want to be treated. Treat them like they should be treated, and they will become that. Christ teaches us to love each other. That's the first and great commandment. The second like unto it is to love God. Actually, the first one is to love God, the Eternal Father, and Jesus Christ, whom He sent to this earth. The second like unto it is to love one another as Christ loves us. So folks, treat your friends like you want to be treated. Treat them how they should be, so they will become what they should be. Okay? I thought that was a great quote from President Monson, Thomas S. Monson. Now folks, in closing, may you all feel the blessings that God has for you. We'll be back on the air on Sunday morning at 12 noon. for a Sunday school lesson that we call Come Follow Me, the Savior Said. It's a 1-hour Sunday school lesson on Sunday morning starting at just about 12 noon. Please join us for that Sunday school lesson. Saturday we're going to take off, which is tomorrow, unless something happens. If something happens tonight or tomorrow that you should know about, we'll be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. Count on that. If not, we'll see you Sunday morning at 12 noon Eastern Time. 12 noon Eastern Time, 11 Central, 10 o'clock a.m. Mountain Time, and 9 a.m. Pacific Time. If you're not in the United States, I hope you can figure it out when we're on the air. Most of you do. Most of you who join us do. But please, folks, if you haven't, please try to join us. I have a lesson specifically for all of us. Literally. Every Sunday, I spent hours all week long preparing a lesson for all of us. So God bless you. May God protect you and hold you even in the palms of His hand. May He do that. As Walter Cronkite would say, as he said so many times every day after his newscasts, and that's the way it is. Friday, May 12th, 2023. For Emergency Management Associates, this is Ron Tyler, not Walter Cronkite. Have a good night, folks. We will see you on the other side. I hope you've had a good day, and I hope to see you Sunday morning. God bless you, and God be with you till we meet again. Have a good night. See you soon.